Good afternoon, everybody. David Shuster here on Take Action News for Saturday, December the 8th, 2012. So glad to have you with us on this program, the program where we tell you what's going on in the world and what you can do to influence outcomes. And a major development here in terms of our own broadcast of the show. Not only are we broadcasting on WPWC Washington and then, of course, in a few minutes on our syndicated stations, but this program is now available on YouTube. Yes, we have made the leap. We are now broadcasting on video on YouTube. Go to Take Action News TV. We're just starting, folks, so you may look up there and say, oh my God, why is the camera sitting on Schuster the entire time? Where's that handsome devil Mitch Molaski or Daniel Marins? Or what about this Pete Callahan that I hear exists at the station? Well, we're going to get there, trust me. We're going to have all kinds of cameras and switching and whatnot, and it's going to look like an amazing TV production. But we have started, and we have taken the first step. So thanks to everybody who may be watching us on YouTube, and of course everybody listening over WPWC here in Washington, D.C. Coming up this hour, we have a great hour ahead. We're going to be talking with Kevin Roose of New York Magazine. He did this terrific story, an amazing expose of an organization called Fix the Debt. Fix the Debt, it may sound like it's a citizen group, an organization that's concerned about the growing deficit, that our government isn't taking enough, is spending more money than it takes in, and the debt we're putting in on our grandchildren. But this particular organization was actually funded by CEOs on Wall Street who have their own agenda when it comes to tax reform and wanting to protect the wealthy. So we're going to be talking with Kevin Roose in just a couple of minutes about that. And later in the show, we'll talk with Charlie Mitchell about some efforts in the United States Senate by Democrats to try to fix something known as the filibuster. This is something that where one senator can basically gum up the United States Senate and block any piece of legislation by threatening to talk forever, even though they're not forced to do so. And Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader on the Democratic side, he's making some changes. Charlie Mitchell is going to be on to talk about that. And also this hour, we'll talk about some of the foreign policy challenges facing President Obama. Daniel Marins, what's on your mind today?
David, I'm looking forward to Kevin Roose coming on because, to me, the thing that we talked about before, the issue of income inequality, the issue of wage stagnation, the issue of the lack of a correlation between productivity increases and wage increases, and in fact, how that spills over into access to healthcare and affordability of healthcare, affordability of education, affordability of retirement. And as you know, during my day job, I work at Social Security Works, an organization that's trying to protect Social Security benefits. One of the things that I've been working on recently is the issue of retirement security. And just to give you an idea, the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College has estimated that there is a $6.6 trillion retirement income deficit between what workers have saved today and what they need to retire in dignity, and that is to say, preserve, let's say between 70 and 80% of what they were making pre-retirement to maintain their standards of living in retirement, because you have some fewer expenses, but for the most part, that's the case. Around 53% of households in their peak earnings years are quote unquote at risk of not being able to maintain their standard of living in retirement. That could reverse many decades of gains, and it all has to do with all these many different dynamics. And so what I'm trying to say is, you want to talk about economic issues, you want to talk about fiscal cliffs, crises facing this country, income inequality, wage stagnation, healthcare costs, the retirement income deficit. Those are crises. And for some reason, I'm just shrugging my shoulders naively about this, but there's no grand coalition of CEOs that are urging congressional leaders to take action on that. Well, why? Because it would threaten their bottom line.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. And again, we're going to be talking with Kevin Roose about some of these very issues in just a minute and a half when our syndicated stations catch up with us. And Daniel Marins. By the way, do we have a headshot of you, Daniel Marins?
Well, I sent one to Pete Johnny Depp Callahan.
All right.
Does Johnny Depp? Did he?
I don't know if he's not manning the computer or the camera right now. So
should we talk about it? Should we talk about the fact that he just finished some excellent looking pho Vietnamese soup? It really Washington's finest.
Yeah, for everybody who listens to the station and wants to see who are these voices, these disemboweled voices that I can hear, whether it's Daniel Marins or Pete Callahan or Mitch Molaski. Pretty soon you'll be able to just click on our YouTube and hear them. And Mitch, in the 40 seconds we have left, the Washington Redskins, they're the real heroes in Washington right now, right?
They are indeed. Although, Although I'm excited for tomorrow night when we have Cliff and Dave are going to be on the DC Sports Beat tomorrow night. So following up on more of what we were talking with them today with both the gun discussion with Bob Costas as well as actually Dave's previous article about the Middle East and following both sides of that. So
Great.
make sure to tune in for that Sunday 7 to 9.
Great programming here. React Radio 7 to 9 Sunday night. Mitch Molaski will talk with Dave Zirin and Cliff Schechter about the whole issue with guns in the NFL culture. We're going to pause in just a couple seconds, so let our syndicated stations catch up with us. You are listening to Take Action News right here on We Act Radio.